Hey, welcome everybody. How you doing? Good. All right. So I am very blessed to be here today, and for many reasons, I'll share a small sample of my blessings with you today. So when Craig mentioned the theme of the topic is mixology, I thought I'd better learn something about that. So as an economist, I decided to go and do a serious field trip and learn a little bit about this. That's what I came up with on my first attempt. So I did it a few more times. And I realised I still don't know much about mixology, but I'll still share something with you today. Now what we see here, folks, is from here, yes, Craig mentioned that I came from Montenegro, but I did all my studies here. I am an Australian, I'm a very proud Australian. You can tell from this photo I'm an Australian. You see this amazing weather outside, you see some gambling, some drinking, and we live in the most perfect place in the world. We even have palm trees growing inside. So, proud to be Australian. Okay, folks, so about this is very important for us to see this right here. The whole theme is about mixology and learning how to drink. This, of course, is just beer. That's what it is, right, Craig? Just learning how to drink? Is that... All right, so that's why I started doing my research, okay? So I'm going to write that up one day. All right, so with beer, right, what you're seeing here, just that small sample. 2 sessions of that a week is roughly, if you do that every week for the whole year, that's roughly the average consumption of beer for every Australian. 100 litres of beer for every Australian. It's hard to believe, but that's actually the average consumption. And you think, hang on, I don't drink that much beer, I mean. I don't drink that much beer. Maybe I drink a lot of other things. I don't drink that much beer. Well, someone's doing it, right? It's not me. I only just got started on that research. So what I suggest you do in following up Craig's ideas, actually say hello to the person to your left, say hello to the person to your right, the person in front of you, the person behind you, and with a knowing look, you can say, "Ah, you must be the one." Just say good day to each other. All right, now we've introduced ourselves. So it would be irresponsible of me just talking about drinking today. I thought I'd mitigate that by balancing it out and talking about, hey, wouldn't it be a good idea if we actually looked after ourselves a little bit better? So we've all heard of this 10,000 steps a day, yeah? Pretty good idea, right? Now 10,000 steps a day, roughly, depending on your stride length, if you go plus or minus a few thousand steps, roughly about 8 kilometres a day. If you think about that for 5 days, that's 40 kilometres, that's nearly a marathon. No wonder you feel tired at work, you're almost doing a marathon every week, right? So if we followed that idea and everybody walked that much, that's around 3,000 kilometres for a year. So if we did that, and still kept our average consumption of beer, right? Let's put this all together. Then the average Australian will be walking 3,000 kilometres per year, drinking 100 litres of beer per year. Now, I don't know about you, but even for a hybrid electric powered car, that's still pretty good fuel consumption, 30 kilometres per litre, don't you think? Right? So it's a good start to think about what we're doing today. I'm going to start with using this whole idea of mixology as one of the ways that you have new experiences, as Craig mentioned, and enjoy your life is think about what you drink every day, in a metaphoric sense. Let's broaden this out. So we've all seen something like this, the glass is half full, glass is half empty, or a more enlightened perspective such as Mark DeVos is just having a glass, being grateful. Not everyone has a glass, folks. So I'm going to share a story today, and hopefully you'll learn the cast of characters and what they mean to me, and how you can appreciate what life can be for you, and what experiences you have for you. So you wake up every day, you look what's in your glass, don't like it, pour it out, start again. Don't like the next one, pour it out, start again, keep going, okay? So what do I mean by being grateful? Well, when I said I am blessed being here today, I truly mean that, okay? My mother and father had 7 boys. Unfortunately, they lost every single boy. Back in the old Montenegro, just didn't work back then. They didn't have the technology. They lost all 7 boys. And my mother said, you know, I want to keep going. I want to actually bring a child into the world. And they said, well, you're risking your own life doing that. So she knew that. And she said, no, I still want to do it, right? So her love was very exceptional in terms of the way she chose to think about her life. So eventually, obviously, I'm here, so I made it, right? And she spent 5.5 months in hospital. Her self-sacrifice was extraordinary. And I only just made it, right? They had to put a lot of drugs into her. They had to, so obviously a lot of them went to me. That probably explains a lot about me. But apparently when I was born, I was covered with fur and all sorts of things. And you would have thought Mum would be very grateful that I was born, right? But when they brought the baby to her, which is me, her first words were, "That's not my baby, that's a monkey." Now, I have no idea why Mum thought I was a monkey. But I sit there and think, well, good on you, Mum. You could have been a little more grateful. That was the very first words that you had for me. And so the old joke of, I was so ugly as a baby, the doctor didn't slap me, he slapped my mother, was true. In fact, I was so ugly as a baby, Mum used to tie a lamb chop around my neck just so the dog would play with me. And I was so ugly as a baby, Mum didn't want to breastfeed me, she just wanted to be friends, right? But I'm here, I'm grateful, and I'm here to enjoy life with you. I accidentally clicked that. Let's define some of the character types we often find ourselves falling into, right? Let's start with the optimist. Now, an optimist has a very big heart, obviously someone who inspires people, and it's great to have them around, right? They always find the best in situations, so they're the glass half full type. They expect for life to improve. They expect for someone to put some more into their glass, right? They expect positives in change. It's great to have that kind of person. What's good about having an optimist around is it's good to borrow money from an optimist. They always expect you're going to pay them back, right? Okay? What's another way we can see an optimist? An optimist, they look at their credit card statement and it's quite clear that someone has stolen their credit card and say, oh, well, that's okay. I'm sure the bank will sort it out. Everything will be fine, right? Pessimist. Pessimist is probably someone who spent a few years being an optimist and has now become a pessimist just through the cycles of life, right? You want to accelerate that process, you can actually just do a few weeks of economics. But a pessimist is someone, obviously, who's seeing glasses half empty. They're focused on what's not there. Why isn't it there? Oh, this always happens to me. So, of course, it's a great idea to borrow from a pessimist. They never expect you to pay them back, right? So that's always a great idea. Now, when they see their income statement, and they realise that their credit card has been stolen, they're the kind of person that's going to say, oh, this always happens to me, couldn't happen to anyone else, always happens to me, probably going to lose my identity, probably have to go to a new country and do something really strange like become an economist, right? So they always see the most bleak outlooks in life. Now what I'm saying, folks, is you don't always fall into one of these, but every now and then, depending on different parts of your life, we tend to lean one way or another. We see the best of a situation, the worst of a situation, or somewhere in between, right? So how about a realist? Well, a realist, they're probably not the best person to borrow money from because they'll remember that you are owing them some money, and if you don't pay them, they might even send their economist onto you, right? So it's very important not to borrow money from a realist. If they looked at their credit card statement and thought, well, someone's obviously stolen my credit card, it'll either be paid back or not, the bank will sort it out, but life will go on. So they have a way of dealing with it, and a realist is someone who doesn't take one end of the spectrum or the other. Now again, I'm just highlighting that you don't always have to fit into any of these categories, and depending on the situation, you can shift around, right? So it's important to think, who am I channeling at the moment? Is it an optimist? Is it a pessimist? Or is it a realist? And then you have someone like me. So I've gone through ups and downs in life, yes, as we all have. But when it comes to glasses half full or glasses half empty, I'm like, hey, I heard we need more drinks today, right? So I'll try and find a solution, right? That's the kind of person that I have become, and what I want to share with you today is, yes, I can be an optimist, and quite often I am. Every now and then I can be a pessimist. Quite often I am a realist. But when it comes to life, I look for a solution, right? Your glass is half empty. Let's fill it, right? You don't have a glass, let's get you a glass. So I am the person who will find a solution because I know what a lack of solutions means in my life. and the lives of others. So how about borrowing money from me? If you borrow money from me, I'm going to go, here you go. When can I pay you back? Whenever you like. If you don't want to pay me back, pay it forward to someone else, right? So I'm probably a good person to borrow money from. And if I look at my credit card statement, and I did before, by the way, and I went, this isn't my credit card statement. There's absolutely no way. My card must have been stolen. There was this awkward moment when I thought, I don't know if I want to report this stolen credit card to the police because the thief is spending less money than my wife does. So I always look for a solution. So we know, folks, from quotes like this, pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, the realist obviously does look to adjust the sails. If the wind is coming here and you want to go there, you can tack your way to where it is that you want to go. It may not be the easiest path in life, but it may be the path that you learn the most about yourself and about the gifts that you can share with other people. So I'm going to share a story with you folks and just change the tone a little bit. Before I do that, let's think about, say you were in here, what would happen, yes, the winds can change, what would happen if the winds were so violent that it actually tears through your sails, knocks over your mast, maybe even topples your boat, what can you do? And that has happened to many of us. It will probably happen to most of us in life at various stages. How do we cope with changes in our life, especially ones we don't expect? Well, say that did happen. This massive wind comes, topples the boat, and there's 4 people in the water, and there's a shark circling around. So the optimist will say, hey, that's okay, we can just outswim the shark, right? It's an optimistic view. The pessimist will say, are you crazy? No way we can outswim the shark. The realist might say, I don't have to outswim the shark, I just have to outswim at least one of you. And if I was there, I'd be like, wait, let's just hang on, folks, let's just calm down, wait for the shark to come to us. Then I start delivering an economics lecture on the law of diminishing marginal returns. When the shark falls asleep, we'll all swim away. The reality is, folks, life can really beat you up, okay? The winds of change can really smash you around. Let me share you my story. This is November 2004. After we lost our only son, 2 months later, I wake up one Sunday morning and in my barbecue area, I see my mother hanging on a rope. She took her own life. She was very down about life. I had no idea it was coming. And if you've ever been winded, knocked on the ground and you can't breathe, you know that feeling, you can't breathe? It's like that. It's the worst experience ever. You never think you're going to breathe again. You never think you're going to inhale again. And it's an image you take for the rest of your life. That absolutely totally destroyed me. So even as someone who was looking for solutions all through life, I was at the lowest points of my life. The absolute lowest, folks. And still obviously choke up when I think about that. So we all go through various parts of life that are going to challenge us like that. I'm going to use the word challenge because the whole point of I am is you are defining what you are now, who you are now, what you're doing now. It's all about your actions, your choices. So we obviously cannot change what happens to us in life a lot of the time, but we can adjust our attitudes to it. So let's just quickly learn about that and we'll move forward. So say back before something as traumatic as that, 2 months straight after we lost our only son, Nicholas, as well, I was in blissful ignorance, which typically you are before some massive change. And that means you're enjoying your life, you have a fair amount of certainty, you have a great comfort zone, you're absolutely loving life. As I thought I was a wonderful husband and a wonderful son-in-law, and about to be the most amazing father in the world, right? But life hits you, right? It hits you hard, and then you actually do fall into some pessimism. It's informed because you've learnt about the situation. It can take you a long time to get out of this. At various stages, you may have what's called overt checking outs, where you check out of life, you basically drop right off the scale. It's overt because everyone can see it. And they're not quite sure what to do. They're not quite sure how to help. You may at various stages go through covert checking out, which is you feel like you've dropped out of life, you've given up, but it's covert because no one really sees it. You still put a smile on your face, you still try and make others happy, you still try to be the wonderful person that you can be. And you may change around. This can take a long time. I can assure you that when this happened to me from November 2004, 20th November 2004 we lost Nicholas, and 23rd of January 2005 when I lost Mum that way, I was knocked around for years. Okay, even a person with a sunny disposition like I have. And it takes you a long time, folks. And what's going to help you through this is to work out who you are. Okay, there's things you can do, but who are you? And this is why I'm focusing on I am. I am is about the present. I am is about the fulfillment of every moment of every day. You are a unique individual with unique talents, unique treasures, unique time. We all think money is one of the most precious commodities in the world. I disagree. If you spend some money, you can always re-earn it. If you spend time, you cannot get that back. And so, what do I put in my drink every single day? Well, I can tell you, you know the saying, pick your poison? That's what I was doing every day, picking my poison. I'm going to drink this today. Yeah, that makes me feel better. Tin Tans, donuts, ice cream, you name it, right? I was channeling Homer Simpson, okay, it's probably the best way to say it. And donuts were my friend. I talked to them, right? It was a part of my life that I will not regret because it's part of who I am now. You see, I've learnt from that experience. I know what a loss of love is. I know that love, to me, is the most important ingredient that I will put in my drink every single day. I know what a loss of love is. I know what a lack of love is, and there's no way that I'd ever come across any person anywhere that I meet and deny them the opportunity to feel loved that day and feel like they're the most special person in the world, because they are the most special person in the world to me. If I don't go through that, maybe I don't come to that stage, you see. So I'm not going to anguish over that. There's no point drifting back to the past, thinking about your yesterdays, or reflecting on your tomorrows, and missing out on the opportunity to live today, to enjoy today. So yes, folks, that'll take some while. And all of a sudden you'll get some realism. Hopefully you're starting to come to terms. You think you've got it all sorted out. And there's something extraordinary can happen, and then you back down again. You slide back down, and as I said, it takes a while. The important point is surround yourself with people who are very supportive, who are very loving, your family, your friends, and find sources of inspiration in your life. Find what you want to put in your drink every day. What do you want to put in there? Well, if you just want to drink donuts and so on, and by the way, I did actually blend a donut and Tim Tam to see how that would work. It wasn't too bad, right? So there's a cocktail recipe. Then you work out what you want, but when you get through that stage, you have these realistic support. You'll come to learn that that was a very important part of who I am. I cannot forget that. I'm going to build on that. I'm going to set whatever foundation I have in my life. So I'm going to choose what I drink every day. It's my choice. Life may deliver a whole bunch of things that I don't want right now. I don't get to choose that, but I get to choose my attitude to it. Very, very important, folks. So yes, surround yourself with family and friends. When all is said and done, your family and friends are number one. Fortunately, I don't have any family here in Australia, but I have a lot of friends who I can pick as family and I can choose as family, and they're very, very dear to me. So I decided I have to start working on who I am. It's fine doing things, but you're just going through the motions. You have to work out who you are. When you go through some massive change in life, it doesn't matter whether it's your career, whether it's your personal, whether it's any part of who you are, you lose people from grief, you lose people in relationships. It doesn't matter what the challenge is in your life. You have to reframe that in a way that means that you now have an empty glass. And you think, hang on, an empty glass? But yes, you get to put in what you want in that glass. So you don't like it, tip it out, start again. Now, I needed to have my moments, my own little pity party where I wasn't inviting anybody to get to that station to realise it. So I sat down with myself over some time and with support of friends, worked out, well, what's the most important thing in my life? The absolutely most important thing in my life and who I want to be. And I came up with the word love, right? Because I honestly believe that love is the most important ingredient in all its forms, the way we express it with each other and so on, as humanists or in any kind of relationships or anything like that. Love is the most important. So I'm going to introduce you to some characters here today. One of my favourites is Katharine Graham. Katharine Graham is a person who was very challenged in her life as well. Her husband committed suicide in their home, so you can see I can relate to that immediately. she was called upon in the late 60s and early 70s then to run the Washington Post. Now, to put this into context, there was no female role model at that time, and there was certainly no female publishers. She was taking her own courageous steps and wondering whether this was the right thing to do. But what could she do? It was the family business. She basically turned the Washington Post from something that was just a regional paper into something that had a national appeal. And it was her courage and her strength and her love, her sense of growth as a person from such a tragic experience. And she took it all the way in completely uncharted waters, taking herself outside of her comfort zone, that allows her to live this kind of life, to love what you do and feel that it matters. How could anything be more fun? Have a think about that for a moment. Whatever it is you do, you get up in the morning, you go for a walk, perhaps you go to work, whatever it is that you do, you throw yourself into that, you immerse yourself into it, you enjoy it because it's your attitude that takes you there. So you get up in the morning and go, oh, look at my things to do list, there's so much, I've got to write this report, and I know that economics lecturer just gave us another assignment. And you can take life like that, or you can really embrace it and say, I really love doing this. I am enjoying what I am learning, and I'm going to contribute something of value that matters to me and others. It completely changes your attitude, folks. You see the power of words, the power of your own self-talk. Now, I'm not here even suggesting that I'm a self-help guru. I'll leave that to the experts, okay? But what I'm suggesting is just take a step back and think about what you keep telling yourself, what you keep listening to. It's just so easy to just fall into listening to your own self-talk that takes you down rather than uplifts you and rather than energize you. And I truly believe life is not what you get out of it, it's what you put into it. If you put a lot of love into life, you will find love. It's the old saying, if you want to have change, be the change. So I was missing love, and I figured it was the most important ingredient I need to put back into my drinks, right? No more donut and Tim Tams and let's see if I can put it through a blender and see what happens. No more of that, right? Because, folks, I ballooned out to about 180 kilos. I gave up on life, right? So it was just a simple case of I just didn't know what to do. I was completely crushed, absolutely devastated by my own circumstances. But I realised what I actually desired the most, and I'm hoping that when you reflect on life, you'll think the same, that love is something that we all seek in any of its forms. Think about it, if you only had a half an hour to live, you wouldn't be playing with things. You'd be there surrounded by the people who love you the most. So love by far to me, and perhaps to you, is the most absolutely important ingredient you would ever have in any drink, no matter what you choose to mix into it that day, some expression of love. And I was determined to learn to do that again because it left me. I felt like this vacuum had just gone, right? So here's something that we can do. This is an action item. It's great to just talk about it, but how do you put it into practice? This is what I physically actually did. Grabbed my to-do list, put a big cross on it and said, acts of love. Think about the power of that. Just again, think about the power of words. If you think you have a problem, first of all, problems tend to be the most brilliantly disguised opportunities to learn, to grow outside your comfort zone and to become a better person for yourself and others, right? But think about just defining the word problem and reframing that as a challenge. All of a sudden, it's something you want to throw yourself into and overcome, right? So I said, okay, if I want love in my life, I'm going to have to put love into my life, take out my things to do list. It's still my things to do list, but now it is an act of love. An act of love for who? Everyone I meet. An act of love for people that I work with, an act of love for people that I have in my social circle, an act of love for myself and others. So when I'm doing a report, when I'm preparing a report, when I'm answering an email, when I'm helping somebody, when I'm doing the lawns, whatever it is that I'm doing, I don't just sit there and go, oh, I've got to do this, right? It's an act of love. And I can think about it the night before when I look at my things to do, and I can sit there and instead of saying, hey, I have 38 things to do tomorrow, I have 38 opportunities as acts of love. And the way you think about it completely changes how you approach it, the energy that you put into it, and the love you feel and the love you share with others. And even if others don't see that it's love or feel that it's love, they sense there's something there. There's a higher level of energy that you are bringing, and they might not know that. Because I know it sounds pretty creepy if you tell people, hey, you know what, I love you today, right? And give me a hug, you know, it's like, it can be pretty creepy, but you can still keep loving people, right? And that's the whole point. And everything that you do can be an act of love. So what I would suggest you do is, if it's something that you would like to do as a way of energizing yourself, then I'm very difficult to motivate myself. I find that a very, very big challenge in getting myself to do the basic things. Just start thinking about it as an act of love. And then if you think, well, hang on, I don't really love that, I'm just kidding myself. Well, I'd question, why are you doing that? Why is it on your list? Why is it on your list career-wise? Why is it on your list in terms of your social life or outside the scope of your career? Why is it on your list? So you think about very carefully. It's your decision, it's your choice, but why is it there if it's not something that you love? So it's like I was saying, find out what you're good at, find out what you enjoy, and if it means something to you, bring them two together, get someone to pay you for it, right? That's a great way to approach a career, sure. But why is it on your list? And even as you write it on your list, rather than just writing it as the things to do, you can say, you can write a report, right? A work report, right? And you can just write it down as an act of love. It completely changes the way you think about it. For example, you can write, I'm enjoying writing this report, it's helping me to learn to share something that matters to me and others. Okay, that's now an act of love. It's not just report, business report, due today, right? So make it an expressive, action-oriented statement. Obviously, what you want to do here as well is use SMART goals. Right? We all know what they are: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Actually write down what you're doing with each of these steps. So for me, when I was 180 kilos, one of my acts of love, I've got to get myself sorted out physically and emotionally and in every other way that meant to me, mentally, socially, and spiritually. To me, that was very important. So I had 5 areas that I thought I needed to target. Let's move on to the next one. I'd like to introduce you to 2 gentlemen here. The gentleman on the left, John Gabriel. Back in September 2001, John would have been booked on Flight 93, which crashed in Pennsylvania, as we know from the unfortunate tragedy that happened then. He would have been booked on that flight. And John escaped that and realised how important it was for him to reframe his life and look at his life all over again. Here's the irony of it. The reason John was not on that flight, he was actually at a weight loss seminar. Yeah, interesting, right? This is John at 187 kilos. This is John after he's lost over 100 kilos. So I said 2 gentlemen, because they're 2 very different gentlemen now. John had a wake-up call. Quite often life gives you one. I had plenty, right? So I'm only giving a sample today. My whole life reads like a Greek tragedy, but I'm still walking around with a huge smile on my face. Because that's my choice. John the same. He actually was working, we all heard of the Atkins diet, for example, yes? He was actually there. And he was actually physically there with Dr. Atkins. He tried a number of different diets. Didn't work. And John basically, after that episode, went, I have to change my life. John made a commitment to himself, not just to change his life, but to change the lives of others. John learned everything he could about food and the way it worked. And he decided that that was going to be his calling. He didn't want to be a bond trader anymore making money. He wanted to go and be stressed out about that. He wanted to go and make a difference to himself and others. So John learned all he could, and he basically came up with a way of eating that doesn't involve a diet or surgery. It's eating rich, colourful, vibrant, organic foods and enjoying yourself without feeling any sense of guilt. And then if you feed your body with the right nutrition, everything else will start to fall into place. So one of John's classic quotes is, obesity is caused by starvation. Think about that for a moment. Now, as somebody who wanted to address an area, okay, love, I've got that started. Thank you, Catherine Graham. Obesity, that's another issue I have to address. I'm going to motivate myself. I was able to tune into what John was saying. Is starvation caused by nutritional, emotional, or spiritual? Not necessarily by weakness or overindulgence. There is something behind it. So you have to attack that as well. So other than eating all these organic, rich, colourful foods which have a lot of nutrition, so you're feeding your body nutritiously, you can also feed your heart, feed your soul, feed who it is that you see yourself to be. I'm very careful when I start using words like spiritual. First of all, I'm not going to address spiritual in any great length today. It would really require a TED topic of its own, okay, my own spiritual journey. But I just want to say that when I think about where I was and the fact that I just sneaked in and made it into this world and what I experienced, well, I come up with this view, folks, and I just want to be absolutely clear, so I don't want to put anyone offside. But I do believe there is a sentience behind what we have here, and some of you may believe that the universe is created by random or non-random, non-sentience. That's your choice. But if I use the word God, I don't want to upset anyone. If I use the word God, you can substitute in the word universe, or the phrase universe created by random or non-random, non-sentience, or anything in between, right? So I'm just saying I don't want to upset you. But basically, I had to find something that was my vision. Corporations have visions. What kind of person has vision? I can have vision. So mine was very simple. And this still is my life motto. My life is God's gift to me. What I choose to do with my life is my gift to God and others. Right? So again, whether you want to substitute that's all come through randomly, just substitute that for yourself or anything in between. But that's why spiritual was so important. I needed to have that as the foundation for me. I'll save that for another TED Talk. But the whole nutritional and emotional, yes, okay, John, I'm onto that. Emotional got me started with Catherine Graham, so I was already onto that. I kind of knew I was on the right direction. The rest just had to start to fall into place. Now, John's out there making a difference. He has literally helped, and I've been to his seminar, and I had the actual pleasure of meeting John in real life, being at one of his seminars. But John was able to make a difference to thousands of people, and still is, all around the world. And he's just a very down-to-earth person in doing that, but he's making a difference. That's his choice. He feels his life is a gift, and if you read his story, you'll know he is actually making a difference to others, which brings us to a nice little story here. After a particularly bad storm, there was a whole bunch of starfish that were washed up on the beach. And an old man was out there going for his walk, and so was this little girl. And this little girl was reaching down and picking up starfish and gently placing them back into the sea. And the old man comes up to her and says, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Well, look, there's all these starfish, they need help. They're out here in the sun and the tide's gone out and I've got to put them back to save them." And the old man says, "Well, look, you can't possibly save all these starfish, there's thousands of them." She reaches down again, she picks up another one, gently walks over, puts it into the sea. She looks at the old man and says, "Sure made a difference to that one." So, what she then had, folks, first of all, another message about you can learn from anybody. And I'm always open to learning from anybody. Be humble, folks, you can learn. It doesn't matter how wise or how life experienced you are, learn. So now instead of one person picking up starfish, you had 2 people picking up starfish. And as more people came and they shared their story, you had more people picking up starfish, more people making a difference. So making a difference can start with you. You can be someone who can inspire others. Please do not put limitations on yourself in doing that, in whichever way you think that your specific talents and your specific treasures and the unique time that you have is delivering to the lives of others. So let's kind of recap where we're at. So in terms of that I am, in the rebuilding process, as I said, I've got an empty glass, so I'm starting to fill it, and I don't like that out. No more donut plus Tim Tam shakes for me anymore, but I'm starting again, right? So I've got emotional. Catherine Graham's got me started on that. Love. So love's going to be the basic ingredient. Spiritual, so that's another TED Talk, but I'll just give you a little flash of that. Physical, John's working on that for me. How about mental? Need to get my head back in order, right? What do I do with mental? Well, I started thinking and reading and learning about people. And I came to a person who I've always admired, and the 5th grade teacher of this person told his parents that he was stupid, that he would never amount to anything, and he would absolutely be a complete failure in life. And, of course, he proved them wrong. What I like about that quote, about genius, is we all can have genius, folks. As you see from that quote, genius, if you judge someone by, say, a fish by their ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. You cannot measure genius just with the same benchmark. Genius can be benchmarked across so many categories. Every person you meet, folks, has a potential for genius because they have unique talents. They have unique treasures to share. They have some time to share that, and you need to encourage it. And so there's so many inspiring people. There's only a limited time that I can talk. There's so many inspiring people. I've just selected a few. This is a small sample, right? But there's so many inspiring people. I don't know if you've heard or seen Nick Vujicic, for example. He's, again, an Australian, and he's born with no limbs, and he's out there doing talks for everybody, inspiring everybody. Imagine going through life born with no limbs. What kind of challenges do you face every day? What's he going to put in his glass? Yes, he was depressed, and somebody learnt. As he says, He could be bitter or he could be better. He could choose bitter or he could choose better. He chose better. Now he's out there inspiring everybody. So no limbs, he's taken it to no limbs, no limits. It's his choice, folks. All right? So again, you can be inspired by all kinds of people, but what this reminded me in terms of my mental, what's the genius that I like to contribute? And it might not be as high-minded as someone like Albert Einstein, but the genius I thought was my capacity to love. It was always there. Just because I didn't have love for a few years in my life, my capacity for love didn't change. In fact, if it did change, it grew the other way. It actually made me want to love people even more. So we've all seen something like this, folks. You have your comfort zone, and then you have where the magic happens. Take yourself out of that comfort zone. It's scary. Yes, it's very scary. You're learning something new about yourself, and as Craig mentioned at the start, mixology is all about new experiences and new tastes of life. If you want to embrace those, you have to take yourself out of the comfort zone. Now, I said that I was 180 kilos at one stage. I'm down to 120. Think I'm doing a good job?
Yeah.
Now I'm coming down, all right? It's taking some time, but I'm not in a rush. I'm just taking my time, and that's exactly what works for me. Where the magic happens, folks, is where you decide it's worth actually growing as a person, because that's what comfort zones are. You have a comfort zone. It's nice to be in comfort zone. We all love it, right? But when you expand out of that comfort zone, that's when all the most amazing, pioneering spirit and curiosity for learning and about yourself and others and your capacity to love, your capacity to enjoy life, everything that you put in your drink, you think is wonderful, and say, hey, try this, you can share with others. And so this is what inspires me. I love helping people to get to that stage where they feel the magic, they feel it switch on, and they love sharing it. It's all about sharing it. If you love something, share it, folks. Then we come to social. This might be a particularly curious choice for social, but for me, again, social is your interactions with people, right? Your interpersonal choices, and I wanted to find something that would inspire me or some value that would inspire me in the way that I choose to engage with other people. So one of Mother Teresa's quotes, obviously she's an amazing contributor in terms of compassion and her work for others, the needy, the poor, the marginalised. But one of her favourite quotes for me was, spread love everywhere you go, let no one ever come to you without leaving happier. What a beautiful thought. Can you make that happen? Again, do you want to put it in your drink today? That's up to you. I know I do. Try and make it happen. Now, I accept that I'm just a fallible, ordinary type of human being, but as someone who wants to reach out beyond my comfort zone, I try to do that every moment of the day. I try and make someone feel happier from the moment that they meet me to the time that they leave. I try and make someone feel better about their own genius. I try and make someone feel better about what they're doing in their life and what they're enjoying. That's important to me, and again, that's making a difference. If you feel like doing that, you can. Now, I'm not advocating you ought to do all of these, but I'm just saying in terms of rebuilding my life, if life ever gets to the absolute lowest levels for you, start with your empty glass, put in whatever you put in. After a certain time, you start enjoying what you're drinking. That's what I enjoy doing, so that's a part of who I am. So what could be a nice action point that we can learn to apply here? We've probably seen this: before you speak, think. When you are communicating with people at any level, is it true? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Build people up rather than tear them down. Even if you are in a role as a manager or you have some way that you need to criticise someone, find a way of doing that in a positive way so they can see what they need to do to build themselves. And again, that becomes a very important part of who I am and who you can choose to be as well. A couple of thoughts then, so we're nearly wrapped up. I'm still good with time, yes, okay. So this all sounds nice, right? And this is just a small sample. What am I suggesting? What's the overarching point of what I'm suggesting here? And it is this. Doesn't matter where you're at, what you have in your glass, what you're drinking, who you're drinking with, whatever it is you're doing, is that what you want to be doing? Keep asking yourself that question. But when you've decided on that, then think about what it is that you want to do. Who are you? What do you want? How much do you want it? And folks, truly the key comes down to your own sense of determination. Okay, it's really how much you want it. So you have to define who you are, what do you want. The idea of I am is a very powerful statement. That's what I'm doing right now. That's my present. So determination is all about, you want to roll up your sleeves, you want to get some work done? Yes, okay. So you can actually roll up your sleeves. I'm going to get into this. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to play hard. I'm really going to throw myself in life. You've probably seen the movie Hitch. One of the classic quotes from Will Smith is that life is not about how many breaths you take. It's about how many moments take your breath away. Now, that's so true if you want to make that true. And that's how I want to live my life every day. I want to live my life with a smile on my face. And some days you don't want to smile. That's the days that when you smile from the inside out, you're actually probably going to smile on the outside as well. Make someone laugh. Release their endorphins. Allow that energy to flow through everybody. And that gives you the opportunity. But that does take a fair amount of determination, folks. So if we look at this, this is all wonderful and colourful. It's in the sense of spring and summer is coming to your life. It can. No matter what seasons may flow through your life, you will get to spring, you will get to summer. It's just a natural part of life. So don't accept the lie that where you are is where you're going to be forever, unless that's your choice. Where you are is where you can be, depending on what you want to do. So again, take your empty glass or whatever you have in it, start again. That's your choice, right? Okay, and then final point that I want to make, folks. I did say I wasn't going to do talk spiritually, and I won't, but I'll give you a little sneak peek if you do go for the next TED Talk. So, give a little sneak peek. What's the most important ingredient to my life? Well, it's getting hot in here. The most important ingredient to my life is, folks, again, spiritual. You have to find a bedrock, something you believe in. Your choice, completely your choice what you choose to believe in. And what was my choice was very simple. When I looked at all these people, I looked at the qualities, and obviously I examined my life and who I wanted to be. Remember this very important statement. You like people for their qualities, but you love people for their faults. So I accept I have faults, and everyone has faults. It's like there's no such thing as a perfect diamond. There's inclusions and everything, but they are your own people. Accept them and embrace them. The spiritual path was very important to me, folks. What happened there? The spiritual path is very, very important to me, because that was what I built my entire life on, right? And why that's important is irrespective of where you're going, you have to have a sense of belief. I want to go here, you have to believe in that. I want to apply my entire life's determination, you have to believe in that. Remember when I said I was the guy who brought the drinks and I got this big superhero tag thing? I believe that I have the access to superpowers because I believe in the love that I share for humanity. And to me, the ultimate expression of humanity was somebody who was able to share this love with everybody at all stages and speak about the love that we can have for each other, okay? So that's why it's incredibly important to me. Now, I'm not talking about Harry Potter, but it's still someone who, whether you choose to believe is a complete fairy tale or someone you believe actually existed, was, I think, the greatest story ever told in terms of the love, unconditional love for humanity. And what's more important as well, from the context of the theme today, the ultimate mixologist, folks. Yes, this person was able to, as his first miracle, be humbled by the request of his mother to save an event at the wedding feast of Cana and turn water into wine. And of course, when I talk about who I am, I can talk about I am a friend of Jesus, right? So that's my choice. That's a small sample of who I am. The question that I have for you is, who are you?